welcome back to another episode of Quilts from the Cabin. My name is Kim Exshaw of ExshawQuilts.com, and you can go over to my website and find all of my quilt patterns, tutorials, all of that jazz. So anyway, before we begin, I just wanted to say thank you so much for all of the love and encouragement that I got in my last podcast episode. It was just like, it was so nice. It was so nice, I'll tell you. And that video has already almost 400 watch time hours on it. That's wild to me. So anyway, thank you so much. I really appreciate you being here. I really, truly do. And I'm hoping just to build this beautiful community where we can come and chat and make quilts together and talk about really cool things. So yeah, so anyway, let's begin. I have some real treats to show you today. I'm really excited about this. Okay, I was scrolling Pinterest. I was scrolling Pinterest and I was just like, I get inspiration from like watching a lot of like wild horse footage. I know that might sound weird, but I do. And also just like things that are not quilt related. I get a lot of inspiration from that. I get inspiration from the feeling that it gives me, I guess. So I saw this quote and it said, "Hold your horses." And I was like, yes, I love that so much. I don't know why, but I really love it. So I was like, I'm going to design a quilt with that on it. Why not? And it's kind of a little bit out of my comfort zone because I do a lot of like piecing and stuff. And I have done applique. Actually, I have a couple applique things that I want to show you today, but piecing is kind of my thing. So anyway, this quilt that I dreamed up is applique, but it is coming together. I'm in such a beautiful way. Like, I'm so excited about this quilt. It's going to be a throw size. I can't remember the exact dimensions I don't have my notebook right in front of me, so I can't remember the exact dimensions. I think it's a 72 by 82 inch throw blanket, but I saw this quote and I was like, I need to make this into it was a poster or something, a quote anyway. But I was like, I need to make this into a quilt. So I'm kind of going out of my comfort zone with this one and designing it, but it has been so much fun to do. Like, I am so lit up about doing this quilt, and I don't even know if it's going to turn out yet. So I don't even know if it's going to end up being a pattern, but so far I've really enjoyed the process of it, and it is an applique quilt. So I'm just going to show you a couple of the squares. I'm going with like a dark espresso, actually this brown here. This is like I wasn't going to show you until later in the podcast, but anyway, this is a cowboy boot. It's going to be a Christmas tree ornament, but anyway, the color, I'll talk about it in a minute, but the color of it is called Espresso. And is it a Colorworks or Kona? I can't remember, but it's an espresso brown, and it is like a beautiful rich dark brown, and I love browns, if you can guess. But anyway, this brown I'm going to use to border this throw quilt. So it's going to have like an espresso, the dark brown border, and then a white border on the inside, and then on the inside of that, where we're going to have the applique, it's going to be like an eggshell or like a nice off-white cream color, kind of like the color of paper, like the poster. And I picked out this beautiful green. So this green I actually got off of Amazon because I am impatient and I could not wait for my green to show up with my shipment, which, by the way, my fabric is finally on the way. Yay! So I'm really excited about that. I've got a big shipment of different colors coming in, and I'm not going to talk about those designs because I want it to be a surprise, but I have a beautiful assortment of colors that I'm going to do. So because I have officially run out of the indigo that I usually quilt with, and this is I used up my last indigo for this quilt. It's a hand-dyed indigo, and I do share the recipe on my blog. So if you're curious about hand dyeing or anything like that, I have it on a blog. And I actually have a workshop that teaches all about quilting. I'll talk about that more a little bit later. I have the quilt here that I want to show you, but anyway, so this is all applique, And I use a very specific font for this, so it will kind of feel like, I don't know, a little bit rustic cowboy-ish kind of, you know. So I picked out this green because I couldn't wait for the hickory. I ordered a green. It's called Hickory by Colorworks, and it's like this kind of like dark sagey green, and I love that. It's a beautiful green. But anyway, this color is called, I think it's London green or something by I can't remember the fabric. Cotton twill or something. I got it off of Amazon because I was being impatient. So I ordered this green because I wanted the green to be the font of this quilt, because I think the green, the cream, the white, and the espresso are gonna look really, really good together. So I'm really excited about this quilt. It has been so much fun to make. So I haven't stitched on the applique. So the H is the applique. And what I do, I actually have a tutorial on how to do raw edge applique on my channel. It's just the way that I do it. So you can go and check that out as well if you're curious about making this. So the font is going to say, the quote's going to say "Hold Your Horses," and it's going to be centered in the quilt. On this is the background. This is like that off-white eggshell. I can't remember if I used eggshell from Colorworks or bone from Kona, but it's just a really beautiful creamy off-white color. And then I put the applique on. So what I do is, like, I print out my letters, and you don't need to print out if there's a double letter. So for example, a hold and horses have an H, you only have to print that out one time, but it has to be mirrored. So when you print out the letters, you have to make sure that you're printing it out mirrored, because the letters have to be reversed. And because once you trace out, so what I like to do is I print out my letters mirrored, and then I take those letters and I put it underneath the infusible web. It's called the Heat and Bond Light. So I put the Heat and Bond Light on top of my letters, with the paper side facing me and the glue side facing down on the paper. And then I trace out all of my letters onto the paper, and then I rough cut those letters out. So I do not cut directly on the trace letter, because I find that works the best. You get the best results doing that. I've done this a few times. So then I rough cut those out, and then I take that and I will use an iron, medium to high heat, and then I will press those letters onto the green. So these were like, I can't remember how big they were actually right now, but I will iron on the applique to the infusible web. And then what you do after that is you peel the paper backing off of the fusible web. And what I like to do is, I'll show you if I can reach it. I will take my square and I'll just finger press it. I don't iron it because then you don't want really harsh lines. But what I like to do is, like, I hope I'm making sense. But you can watch the tutorial and it'll tell you, like exactly all the steps that you need to do. But it's a lot of fun. I promise. It's a lot of, I'm so excited about this quilt. So anyway, I finger press this in half this way, and then I unfold it and I finger press it the other way. So then you can find the center of this to align your letters onto your blocks, right? So I get the best results from that, but I mean, other people probably have better tricks. But you could also very gently half your letters, exactly the same way to find the center. I didn't do that. I'm not worried about perfection. I'm excited just to do this. So they turned out really well anyway. Just center them on your block the best you can. You can, if you're really picky, you can align everything. You can draw your lines on there to make it absolutely perfect if you want, but I'm not interested in making it perfect. So, and then after you do that, you peel the back off of your letters, and then with the glue side down on your fabric, you press it with medium-high heat with your iron to fuse it to your background, to your square. And then after that, you can stitch it. You can stitch it by hand. This can all be done by hand too. You have to remember that. You can do everything by hand if you want, and I love doing it by hand, but it would take me a million years, I'll be honest. So I take it over to my machine, and I will zigzag stitch. You can use a blanket stitch if your machine has it, but my brother does not have the blanket stitch. And I think the one that I did use, I didn't like. The edge stitcher, I didn't like the look of that. But I mean, if you do, then you can use that stitch, it doesn't matter. Or you could use just a zigzag stitch. I have all of the measurements like for the stitch width and length in the pattern, so you can totally, I can't remember it by hand because I wrote it all down. I did a lot of tests with my machine to get it just right. So I have all that information in the pattern, but or you can, what I'm going to do this time, I'm thinking, because I kind of want to have the raw edges like fray a bit after, you know, like washing wear. I kind of like that, like, you know, worn look of things. So again, this is a personal preference. You don't have to do that. You can make it perfect if you want, but this is the raw edge. So what I want to do, I'm thinking, is doing a straight stitch around my applique this time, and letting the edges of my applique fray with time, because I thought that that would be fun and really cute. So I'm thinking that. I haven't decided for sure yet, but I've got all my letters done, so I can start stitching on everything. So yeah, I'm just, this is like, this project is giving me so much life. And it is a little bit different like what I normally do, but I felt like doing a word quilt. I saw this quilt on Pinterest, and it said, I think it was Bertha. I think that the quilt, it was a vintage quilt in red and white, and I fell in love with that quilt. I saved it because I want to do like a name quilt too, because I just thought it was fun. But I saw this quote, and I was like, man, I want to make a word quilt, which is not really like me, but it was just so cool. My daughter was like, you have to do it. I love this idea of hold your horses. So that's what the next pattern is going to be. So I'm just going to get up and place this because I don't want these to be crinkly or anything. So give me a second here. Okay, so the next thing is, like, I've been working on some holiday decorations and things like that for Christmas, and I wanted to come up with like this like cowboy theme, right? You know, because that's kind of my thing. But anyway, I drew a cowboy boot in my Procreate, and then I've had to resize it about 5 million times, but I finally got the right size. So after I finished, you know, sizing my cowboy boot out, what I've done is like, and this will be a pattern in the shop too, but these are so cute. I'm so excited about hanging these on my tree. So you could do whatever color you want, but it's just like a stencil that you would write out or trace out and then cut out. And I used, okay, so I decided that I tried it out with just regular scissors, and I was like, meh, it's cute, but I mean, it could be cuter, right? So I did this with pinking shears. I think that's how you say it, pinking shears. My grandma's vintage shears, by the way, that she gifted me after she passed, and I was like, oh, I love these so much. So anyway, these are made with like a lot of love. But so I used my pinking shears and I cut out the cowboy boot. But first, before I did that, I stitched all of the way, I quilted it. So what I did, how I did this was like, I took, I forget, I have this all in the pattern, but I can't remember all the dimensions anyway, but I quilted, you know, just like a solid, you could use scraps too. That would be really fun too. Like you could piece a bunch of like whatever scraps you got together. That would look so cute too. But anyway, I just quilted like just a a piece of like square. And then after I had quilted it, then I cut out the cowboy boots. So I used pinking shears to cut them out, and then I stitched all the way. I mean, this isn't the greatest because I was too excited when I did these, so they're kind of like, you know, ugly, but whatever. You can't really see with the stitch color. But anyway, so then I stitched all the way around the boot to make sure that it was sandwiched together, you know. And then I used pinking shears to cut everything out, and then I added a boot strap. So I just thought that these were just like, they're so much fun to make. Like, I have like a pile of them that I haven't, like these ones I haven't added the strap yet, so I still have to add the strap. But I just thought these would be super cute, especially if you're into like, you know, cowboy stuff, or I've watched Yellowstone, viewer discretion. But I love those. I love westerns. I love all of that. Like, I watch quite a few westerns and things like that. But anyway, so I wanted to make the decorations this year more like western, so I came up with this little cowboy boot. So yeah, I hand drew them in my Procreate and then resized it to get the right size that would look good on a tree, you know. So yeah, I'm just really excited about these. I think they're super cute. You could do whatever colors you wanted. I just did the brown. This is a pecan and espresso again, and I forgot, you know, I forgot to change because I was trying to use the same stitch color, right? But I forgot to change my bobbin thread, so the other side is white, but whatever. It's just for around the house anyway. But these are so much fun, and I think that they could make really cute gifts too, right? You could put them in like a little basket and have like a bunch of little homemade decorations and stuff in there. I just thought they were super cute. So okay, so the next thing I'm going to show you, not my best work. I hate making oven mitts. I know that's like a terrible word to say, but I don't like making oven mitts. I've decided that I really don't like them. So it was one of our friends' birthday, 50th birthday, this past October, and I haven't gifted them yet because I'm like, I don't know, because they're not nice looking. But he does like a lot of like smoking his own jerky, like making jerky, and smoking his own meat and smoking his own fish, and you know, all of that kind of stuff. So I wanted to make him oven mitts. So I didn't do a design because I wasn't sure how they would turn out, and I'm glad that I didn't spend the extra effort to do that because they're ugly. They're not pretty oven mitts, but you know what? They're gonna make a really cute gift. Like, I just made them in like a dark midnight blue. I think this is Midnight Blue by Colorworks, so Northcott. So the blue is beautiful, but the mitts are not. I don't know. I will still gift them because they're a gift, right? Like, I'm not selling them, but I don't like how I did the thumb, and I'm not sure what went wrong there, but I've made oven mitts before and I didn't do that, and I can't remember how I sewed those for this not to happen. Do you see that? Like, it's got like some ugly bunching there. Yeah. So yeah, they're not going to be a pattern for the shop, that's for sure, but they'll make a nice gift, I guess. They're not perfect. They're kind of fuggly, but whatever, I guess. So anyway, so the other I've got fabric here that I'm crunching. Hold on here. I've already pressed this and it's ready for my Hold My Horse quilt. But anyway, so the other Christmas decoration or holiday decoration that we got going on is socks. And I think that I might release a pattern. I'm not 100% sure yet, but you can tell me in the comments. Should I release the pattern? Let me know. So look at these. Aren't they cute? So I drew a motif in my Procreate. It's like an app for like art and stuff like that. My daughter's an artist, so she's like, use this app, Mom. So I did, and I drew out like this little, like, it's you see this design on the tops of your cowboy boots. So I wanted to put, I love that design. I love that. Like the I forget what it's called, like the Western tooling, or no, stitching. I can't remember. There's a name for it, but I can't remember what it is right now. But so I really wanted to do like a cowboy boot symbol on stockings. Isn't that cute? So I'm really excited about these. I did it on both sides to kind of practice. I'm not, okay, so I did use like water, what is it? Like disappears in water. What's the word that I'm looking for? Anyway, you can wash it and the fusible web disappears, right? So I wanted something really easy, but it's not, it's like, I don't know if you can tell. Can you tell on the camera? Maybe not really. Like you can see a little bit of the residue. Maybe I'm being too picky, but after you launder this, like it'll be completely gone, right? But I didn't want it to completely, like, you know, after you wash your quilts, like it gets all crinkly, and I kind of wanted to take pictures of it not crinkly, even though I love the crinkle. I love the crinkle, like, especially on hand quilted like quilts. Oh my god, but I love the crinkle, but not so much on a stocking. I wanted to kind of be crisp, but that's not what happened here. So we've got some crinkle, but that's okay. Again, this fabric is, I think it's like Midnight Blue by Colorwork. But yeah, I thought it turned out really, and this was a lot of fun to stitch. So this is just big stitch hand quilting. And I did that. So the way that I did this was I did the design after I quilted. Like I did, what you do is like you just take, I can't remember the dimensions. It's just bigger than your stocking, because you're going to cut your stocking out of your quilted piece, right? I hope that makes sense. So anyway, I just quilted, you know, like a block that I could cut my my stocking out in. And so I quilted that, and then I added the motif over top of the, and I just machine quilted it because I wanted to, you know, see how it turned out. I was being impatient. But, and then I spent some time hand stitching the little motif on, and I just thought that they turned out really cute. Very Western feeling, rustic, you know, cabiny vibes there. But these were just a lot of fun. It was a lot of fun to do. I wouldn't do the motif on both sides. I don't think, like if I was doing them just for my home, I would do the motif on however I hung it on the wall, however you're going to hang it. I would just do the motif on the front. But you could get creative with all kinds of different colors. That would be really neat. But yeah, so should I release this pattern? I'm not sure. It was a lot of fun to make, actually. A lot of fun. And this turned out really well. And it's lined. I did put the lining in because I knew that we would use these for Christmas. So yeah, it's just really easy and it was a lot of fun. So let me know. Should we release the stocking pattern? I don't know. Let me know. Okay, so moving on. I've got some projects. I have so many projects. That's why I split them all up in the the podcast. So this is, I made this earlier this summer. This was so much fun. Oh my goodness. I actually want to make another one because this just made my heart skip a beat. Like it was just a lot of fun to do. So this is a table runner and it's called, I think I called it Arrows. And it's really easy to piece. It's so beginner friendly, but look how beautiful it can be, right? So I did contrasting threads. So I did a poll. I always like you guys' opinions. So I did a poll and I asked, should I do a contrasting stitch so you could really see the hand quilting, or should I do one that actually matches the fabric? And it was a mixed bag, I'll be honest. I got 50-50 on both, so I ended up, my daughter was the one to decide, and she's like, do contrasting, Mom, it'll look so cool. And I'm happy that I did, because you can see like the way that it's quilted. So the way that I quilted this was, I think it's 3/4 of an inch in between my lines. And I use like a chalk to, oh, there goes my cat. She's not supposed to be upstairs. I use a chalk to kind of like draw my lines on, and then I just quilt over that. So I'm really happy with how this turned out. It looks so beautiful on the cabin table. I'll insert some pictures for you so you can kind of check it out, but I just love this. I think it's just so pretty. And this is the hand-dyed indigo. So the back, I used like a lighter indigo. And you can see kind of like the hand stitching on the back. But yeah, I'm really happy with this make. And the pattern has been really popular in my shop lately. I just all of a sudden, it's funny how like things can be in there for a while and they're just there. And then all of a sudden, like people pick them up. And I'm like, that's so cool. Because I was like, why doesn't anybody love it like I do? But they do. So that's kind of nice. So this was a lot of fun. A lot of fun. I think I'm gonna make more table runners just because I enjoyed this project so much. Like it was just, I had like the window, because I did it in the summertime, I had the windows open, I could hear the crickets at night, and I was just like stitching away. It was just the best experience. So I highly recommend, if you haven't tried hand quilting, like I definitely recommend trying it, because if you like handiwork, like if you're a knitter, I also have a knitting channel, by the way. You can go check that out. It's M1RKnit, and I have knitting tutorials there. I do the Norwegian purl stitch, so it's a little bit different than probably you're used to. It's a different kind of knitting style, so you can go check that out if you want to learn how to knit too. That's another thing that I enjoy in the evenings when I'm not quilting. But it feels like that. Like I love handcrafts, right? So this was a really lovely make. So I highly recommend. And then I wanted to talk about, actually I'm going to talk about this one. So this is the Arrows bag. This isn't, I haven't published this pattern yet. I'm still kind of working on it. I put it to the side because bag patterns take a lot more brain power than just like a table runner or a quilt, right? Because you have a lot going on. And anyway, so I haven't published this pattern yet. I have it sitting and I should just like go and finish it because it's almost finished writing. But anyway, so this is the arrows. This was kind of like a nod to this because I love this pattern. I love that make so much. So I wanted to make a bag with the same design. So this is called the Arrows bag. It's a tote, leather bottom. So a little bit of a leather bottom. And I think it's a little bit bigger than the Leah tote. The Leah tote is the other tote in my shop that is published, that is available. But yeah, I love this. I'll be honest, I hang this on my, so I have this quilt rack right here, right? And I actually hang it so I can see it every time I walk in and out of the living room. I know that's kind of sad, but it just gives me so much joy to look at this. I love arrow. I think I just really love arrows. So this is, I wouldn't say it's a beginner friendly because of the leather and the bottom and stuff like that. Like I would definitely be more experienced. I would say like intermediate quilter. But this was a lot of fun to make too. And I just love how it turned out. So it's got the leather handles and the leather bottom. And it has like, it's like a squared bottom. I know it's been hanging for a really long time, so it doesn't really sit proper, but it's got the square bottom to it, and the arrows go all the way around. Oh yeah, that's my little quilt labels. I get these off of Etsy. If you're interested, I can share the link. I have to go dig it out, but I was really happy with the quality of these. It's a faux leather, so it's not real leather, but they did a really nice job. Like I know it's inverted, but you can still kind of get the idea. I have the bigger ones for the quilts, and those turned out really nice too. So yeah, I love like those little like leather tags. Anyway, so yeah, and then I did my daughter's beetles for the inside again. yeah, so yeah, this bag makes me so happy. I can't even use it because I just want to look at it. That's sad, right? But it just makes me so happy just to look at it. Like, this was dyed. I think I dipped this like 3 or 4 times to get that dark indigo blue. So, it was just like a labor of love. So, yeah. So I haven't done the pattern for it yet, but I do have the other tote in the shop. It's called the Leah tote, so you can check that out if you're interested in like a leather bottom bag. But I still have to finish the pattern for this, like finish writing it. Well, I have written it, but like so people can understand my directions is what I mean. But anyway, so yeah, that's the other tote. And then I think the last finished projects that I have to show you for today is the quilts that I made, the baby quilt that I made for the workshop. So I do have a quilter's workshop, and it's very beginner friendly. And I teach you kind of like it's not just piecing squares together. I wanted this quilt workshop to kind of teach you some maybe not advanced, but like maybe more confident beginner techniques. So that's what I did. Like, I showed you how in the workshop, I show how to make like a half square triangle, because you have to make a half square triangle in order to make a quarter square triangle. So this is a quarter square triangle. So the abbreviations is QST, and to make a half square triangle, it's HST. So, but I wanted to kind of give a little bit more than just like piecing squares together, which I think is amazing. That is like a really great first beginner quilt, is like squares. And actually I'm working on something with just squares. Oh no, I did. I showed you last time, didn't I? The flannelette, that's all squares, and that is very beginner friendly as well. But in the workshop, I kind of wanted to show a few more techniques for for you to get more confident in how to quilt. So that's what I did, and that's what this quilt is. It's like a big, I wonder if I can push this. Hold on. It is like a baby sized quilt. And in the workshop, I show you everything. I try to take you along through every step, including the supplies, the fabric I use, even the stitch width. Like, I share absolutely everything because I want you to be a quilter too. Because I love it so much, so I want everybody to quilt. So, but yeah, so I finished this. It's not a pattern in the shop. You can only get the pattern with the workshop because I wanted it kind of be special for the workshop students. So yeah, and I've had lovely reviews. So if you've taken the quilt workshop, thank you so much. Like, I was so surprised. I was like, because I'm a new business, like not new to business, but new to this business. And since I started posting the patterns for sale in July, like, wow, like every day I wake up and I have a smile on my face and I feel so grateful. Like, I'm not going to tear up. But yeah, I just feel really grateful. Okay, so that is the last finished piece that I have. And this was a lot of fun. It's the Ohio star, which is like, I love that. I think it's my favorite. Did I say that? I probably said another one was my favorite because they're all my favorite, but I really love the Ohio star. So I wanted to make a big, beautiful baby quilt with it. And that workshop, like literally from beginning to end, I show everything. So go check that out. It's on my website if you're interested. So the last thing I wanted to talk about is actually kind of a personal make. It's not for a pattern or anything, but that's why I haven't started on it. But I did order the fabric, and it's like this beautiful flannel that I got from Fabricville. It is like a fabric outlet in Canada. I ordered it online, and I wanted blue, of course, but I want to make myself quilt coat. So I've made lots of quilt coats in the past, and I have sold them finished pieces in my shop. I wouldn't do a pattern just because it's like, it's too much. It's too much to figure that out for a pattern. But I kind of like, I'm a little bit all over the place when I make my quilt coats, so I don't want to confuse anybody or disappoint them. So, but I do want to make my own quilt coat. For this fall or winter. I haven't had time to even start it. I cut the fabric, I washed it, because this is the only time I like wash my fabric, is if I'm making a wearable, like a quilt coat or something like that, or if I've dyed the fabric, I have to wash it. But other than that, I do not wash my fabric, and that's a personal preference. I think if you want to wash your fabric, go for it. All right, I'm like cheering you on. Whatever you want to do, I'm like awesome with it. Like, you do you. But I don't pre-wash my fabric if I'm making quilts or something like that. It doesn't bother me if they shrink a little bit or whatever. But yeah, so the only time I will pre-wash my fabric is if it is a big piece of fabric. Do yourself a favor and never, never wash pre-cuts. You will hate your life. So they just make a horrible mess in your in your washing machine, and you will regret ever doing that. So don't wash your pre-cuts, like, you know, your charms or your fat quarters, maybe. I don't know. I haven't tried that, so I can't say yes or no to that, but never wash your like pre-cuts, because you'll regret it. But I do wash my fabric if I'm making like quilt coats or whatever, because they do shrink and I don't want that if it's a wearable. So that's the only time that I really wash my fabric. But I want to make a quilted coat with the flannel for the farm, so like a farm jacket, like a chore coat kind of thing. So but yeah, I've made them before, and I was going to offer them in the shop, but then I ran out of fabric, and I've waited so long for this fabric to come in that I haven't been offering them. But I did get good news that all of the fabric is on the way. It should be here on Monday, and I'm really excited about that. I have a lot of plans. I've already designed like a ton of stuff with these colors that I have chosen, and I'm not going to tell you because I want it to be a bit of a surprise, but it's very like cozy cabin vibes. So I'm really excited about that. It's one of those designs that I have had in the back of my mind for years, and then I saw this picture on Pinterest of like a really old quilt, like from the 1800s kind of thing. I'm not going to tell you the design. I'm going to try not to share too much, but I saw that and I was like, I love this so much. Like, I have to do this for the cabin, because it's been in the back of my mind forever. And then seeing that picture, just like, okay, I have to do this. Like, it has to happen. So I'm really excited about those patterns that are coming. I'm totally out of like the indigo until next spring when it warms up and I can dye outside, because you definitely do not want to dye indigo inside. Not only is it really messy, but there are fumes from it, so you definitely want to be outside for that. But it is like terribly messy. Everything will be blue, and if you're anything like me that like drops stuff, or my cat's doing something, drop stuff, or you know, all of that kind of stuff, then you definitely want to be outside. But natural dyeing, like say if you're doing madder root or kutch or something like that, that I would be okay dyeing those inside, but they are really messy. But it's not like indigo. Indigo is a whole other thing, and I do share the recipe on my blog, like I mentioned before. So if you're interested in doing that, then definitely do it, because it's, but I warn you, it could become like an addiction. So, but I think that's all I've got to show you this episode. Thank you so much for joining me for a second one. And again, thank you for all of the love that I got on my last podcast episode. It meant a lot. Like it was just really nice to have that kind of community behind you. And I'm just excited. I'm just excited to share more and talk with you guys and visit with you guys. Some of you left comments and others sent emails, and that was just lovely. Oh, by the way, Brenda, thank you so much. She emailed me and told me about another full bolt Kona supplier in Canada. I cannot remember the name of it right now, but I will leave it on the screen here for you to go check out. So thank you so much for that, Brenda. I really do appreciate it, because I would definitely get Kona from them because they are a lot cheaper than what I was paying previously. Full bolts can be a little bit more difficult to find, but I love dealing with full bolts. So, or yards. I'm not much of a pre-cut girl. I like full bolts. I love the idea of just like taking whatever size fabric and making it my own. So I love full bolts for that reason. Not only that, but maybe it's a little bit cheaper, I don't know, but the convenience of having a full bolt is like so nice. So thank you again for sharing that, Brenda. I really do appreciate it. All right, so let's wrap this episode up. This is episode 2. I will be back again for episode 3. Like, comment, share. I really do appreciate it. And go check out my quilt patterns on my website at exshawquilts.com. You can also get a free pot holder pattern if you subscribe to my email list. And I do have a free wall hanging pattern on the blog, along with like tutorials and all that kind of stuff. I share the supply list for my big stitch hand quilting there as well. So definitely go check that out. And we will see you again next time. Thank you so much for joining me. I really do appreciate it. Bye now.